Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television two different ways, and that's channel 182 on Charter Communications. You guys have been watching AP Steadham for a long time on that channel, but we've also added a worldwide channel, and that is Abundant TV, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So thank you, Rob, for letting that happen. We definitely appreciate that. Well, let's go ahead and get started because you guys have already sent questions about the Alabama game this weekend. I have with me very special guest and very good friend, AP Steadham, been on the show a long, long time, and you're becoming a source right here in North Alabama.
Is that a fact? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're
Hey Donna.
popular on this station. You're very popular.
Oh, thank
So
you, Donna. Hey
there was
Donna, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm just ready to start off this Monday, and wow, all the questions I have had nothing but questions about that Alabama Texas game.
Go ahead, Donna. You have some questions for me. I'm ready.
Yeah, well, most of the questions are what happened.
Well, I'll tell you what happened, Donna. We found out that Texas is as big and fast as Alabama, at least that day. And they were up to the task, and they gave Alabama all they wanted, even with their backup quarterback. So Alabama was fortunate to win the game. They made that drive with Bryce Young. That's a Heisman moment for him because it looked bleak for Alabama, but especially that one play near the end on that drive where he ducked. They had called the perfect blitz, and I think it was a cornerback, a transfer from Ohio State. He should have tackled Bryce Young, and Bryce just dipped underneath and ran down the sideline for 19 or 20 yards. He kept the drive alive. And consequently, Will Reichard had a chance for the 33-yard game-winning field goal. That's the first time since, I think, 2006, 2005, in the last 5 minutes that Alabama needed a field goal to win. So it worked out in their favor. And they escaped, which literally they did, because Texas was ready for that. Alabama had a good game plan on offense. Defensively, they were able to put pressure on Bryce Young with only 4 people, which is not good because you have 5 people blocking down. So normally you should be able to protect your quarterback. But Texas had the athletes, they had the intensity, the high energy level, and they were able to give Alabama fits on the defensive side. Yeah, they really bothered Alabama. The Jahmyr Gibbs, the transfer from Georgia Tech for Alabama, number one, he was a big part of the offense, catching the ball in space or running the football. And then McClellan, he's a Texas native. He got loose on that 80 or 81-yard run for a touchdown for Alabama. That was the one mistake Texas didn't make, trying to stop the run.
Well, if they hadn't made that mistake, they would probably have won.
I think so. Yeah, they probably would have, because I don't know if Alabama could have drove the ball. The offensive line, we spoke about them early in the season. There's still a big question mark. I don't know if they're going to be very good this year. They might be below Alabama's standards, so that's why you might have some of these struggles. Alabama defensively could not guard number 8, Xavier Worthy. We mentioned him before, Don. He had 12 touchdowns as a freshman last year, so we know he was good. And he gave Alabama a bad time. In the first half, they adjusted, brought someone else in to try to guard him, and they shut him down. And Alabama was fortunate, but he's an excellent receiver. He's only 164 pounds, Donna, but he was fast. Number 8 for Texas, Xavier Worthy.
Well, they were ready for the game. I'll tell you that.
They were.
Right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
And also a lot of questions are pertaining to the rankings now. Of course, Alabama went down in the rankings because of that, even though they won the game.
Right. It's a 1-point game. It's a beauty contest every week, Donna. You don't just maintain your position with a win. As I said, they're looking at you, the margin of victory. Who was your opponent? Where did you play the game? Were you a big favorite? Alabama was about a 20-point favorite, came away with a 1-point victory in the last seconds of the ball game. So that's all in the mind of the voters.
Well, I have total confidence in Saban, though. I'm sure he's on it this week. And now, who do they play next?
Yeah, Donna, they're playing University of Louisiana Monroe, and it's coincidental, Donna. Nick Saban's first year, they lost to Louisiana Monroe. Huge upset. So Louisiana Monroe is coached by Terry Bowden, the former Auburn coach, Akron coach. So he coaches them. But Don, I just want to refer back to the game. Alabama, was it 15 penalties? I mean, it was Flag Day on
Yeah.
September 10th in Austin, Texas, not June 14th. They moved it
Hmm.
to September 10th in Austin, Texas. They had so many penalties. The first half, it was double digits, Don.
Hmm. Well, that's
Yeah,
not good. So why do you think that happened?
Donna,
Nervousness or
I do not understand. It's the discipline. He discussed the discipline factor because you're going to play in stadiums where it's very loud, but you can block somebody in the back. That has nothing to do with being loud. You're on the defensive side and you go across the line of scrimmage when you're supposed to be watching the ball when it snaps. So those are things that have nothing to do with the crowd. It's really just your sense of anticipation and your technique. But they have officials in the practice every day. So to come up with Donna, I can't figure this out. You have the officials in practice every day, and you still have 15 penalties. What if you didn't have the official in practice? They're probably over 20.
hmm
Probably, I'm thinking. But yeah, you can't win the tight ball games going off sides and having all these different penalties. There were some strange plays in that game that I thought the penalty when the Texas quarterback was injured, the Alabama defender tackled him and he went to the ground. They went to the ground together. The quarterback turned his shoulder. I didn't think that was roughing the passer. I think it was just a natural tackle because you're tackling somebody who's standing upright. They're going to the ground. You're tackling them up high. They're going to try to fall on the shoulder, in the quarterback's case, on the opposite shoulder of their throwing arm.
hmm
So I just did not see that as a roughing the passer penalty. How are you going to tackle somebody? Get them on the ground. I mean, that shouldn't be a penalty that you tackle the quarterback.
Not in my standard, not from back in my
No,
day. You did
yeah,
whatever you could.
I don't know what the grade the officials had, but they missed some penalties against Alabama on the pass interference, and they definitely missed one against Texas in the pass interference category. But that's a difficult call. But when you have your hands on somebody, you're grabbing at the shirt and you're on top of their shoulders, that should be an easy pass interference. Maybe they weren't in the right position, but like I said, they missed at least two against Alabama, at least one against Texas that I recognize, in my opinion.
Hmm. So what do you think Saban said after the game to the players?
Yeah, he said we're proud of you were resilient and you kept playing defense and giving our offense a chance to catch up. But
Hmm.
we have to cut these penalties way down to under maybe 5 a game. You know, we want to be
Hmm.
perfect with the penalties, zero penalties. But if we're going to proceed further in our schedule, and we have these teams that we're going to play that are capable of beating us, there's no way we can win if we continue with 15 to 20 penalties in these big ball games.
How do you think his demeanor is when he gets a near loss? What do you think his demeanor is with the players?
Well, I don't know if that moment, the day of the game, he's gonna chew on them some. But I think when they look at the film together, let's say maybe it's either by unit by unit, or I don't know if they look at I don't know if they look at the film together all as one
Hmm.
team. But he's going to be voice his opinion strongly.
Yeah.
That we cannot have these offsides, these penalties, other types of penalties. The defensive backs, we have to guard people. We can't grab them and have the pass interference plays. Um,
Hmm.
we've got to know the signal, the snap count on offense, the offensive line. We can't go offside. We have to be in the right formations. We can't have people in motion causing a penalty. All these things. He's going to go over one by one. He'll probably have a clip from every single penalty and show it to the team.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good way to handle it. But I don't see him as a type that would be like a head beater kind of a guy. I can see him as being one that maybe uses the sandwich effect. He just tells the guys what they did really, really good. And then he goes, all right, let's clue in on, the bad stuff he did and then end it on a positive. That's what great leaders do.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's a good style, Donna, what the way you described, because you, you but you're gonna. I think he's gonna dwell on those penalties though during the week. I think every
I
day,
think he will too.
every time they have a penalty, he's gonna say something. He's gonna make mention. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, well, it turned out. I mean, they won. That's good. You know, all it takes is 1 point. But I'm
Yeah.
with you on that. There are some things that just something happened.
Right. Yeah,
So, how do you
exactly.
think they'll fall the rest of the season? Is this a downward slope for them?
I don't think so. Normally, Alabama improves as the season progresses, Donna,
Uh-huh.
because of his coaching staff. Saban hires people that can develop talent. So I think they'll be fine. I believe there's going to be some tight ball games. I think that Tennessee game in Knoxville, that's one to circle. I think for sure.
I think so
Um,
too.
I think, we'll see what happens down in Baton Rouge. We'll see Arkansas is a team
Mhm.
that's scoring a lot of points. They have that quarterback, Jefferson. He can run over you, run by you, run through you.
Mhm.
And he passes well enough to keep you honest in that department. So,
Mhm.
yeah, there's going to be some challenges for Alabama, I think, because their offensive line is not dominating. And if you can get to the quarterback, I mean, that's how Alabama's really a passing team now, Donna.
Mhm.
They don't run the ball with as much efficiency as they have in the past.
Yeah.
And the receivers at Alabama, Donna, they're good, but they're not great. Like, I mean, to have four number one draft choices at one time in the past, I mean, these receivers right now, you don't see the 50, 60, 70, 80-yard touchdowns. You're not going to see as frequent long touchdown catches as you've seen from other teams at Alabama. They have to
Mhm.
catch the football first, number one, because they dropped some Saturday. They sure did. Catch the football and worry about the yards after the catch later. Just catch the football because Bryce Young is accurate. He's going to get you the ball in the right place to make the catch. So they've got to concentrate on catching the ball. I think number 81 for Alabama, Donna, Cameron Latou, the tight end. He's 6'5", about 245. He could have a big year if they throw him
Mhm.
the ball. He's
Mhm.
got to be more consistent catching the ball, but he could outrun the defender. He's long-legged, 6'5", and he can make some yards for Alabama.
Mhm. So, who do you think was the best player? And then somebody needs some help.
Well, Alabama, they're lucky to have Bryce Young, the
Mhm.
quarterback,
I knew
because
you'd
he
say
made
that.
that drive and he was cool under pressure when things were not looking good, especially that last minute. It was a do or die drive. They had to score points. So he's good. I think the offensive line down collectively as a unit, they need some help to
Yeah.
improving because like I said, Texas was able to put pressure on Alabama's quarterback without the blitz sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's
Well,
not good. That's not good.
remember when you first came on the show and we were with Abundant TV the very first time, and we knew we had listeners all over the country. Remember the person from California who sent a message and said, "Tell Saban to stay away from California and leave our players alone." Then you remember the other one from Texas
Right.
who said, "Don't mess with Texas." Maybe he meant it. It could have
I'm
been the
telling you,
coach. Who knows?
they
Who
came
knows?
very
Who knows?
close. Yeah, they came as close as you can to beating
Woo!
Alabama. There's the last 10 seconds or so when they
Mhm.
made that field goal and had to have that spectacular drive by Bryce Young, engineered by Bryce Young.
Well, all it takes is 1 point, and then you got it. Now there
Yeah,
were some other ball games, not just Alabama. So there were some other ball games. Let's
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about some of those.
yeah, yeah. Auburn played San Jose State, and Auburn they had some trouble in the first half with penalties. They didn't have very much rhythm with their passing game, so they were behind 10-7. San Jose State's quarterback played pretty well. They were excited to play a SEC team, but Auburn in the second half they got the running game going collectively. I think they had about 200 yards, 201, I believe. So their quarterback, TJ Finley, still having trouble with throwing the interceptions. They've got to clean that up down when they play these better teams. Penn
Yeah.
State comes to town on Saturday, nationally televised game at 2:30. Robbie Ashford had some nice runs at the quarterback position as well. I still think they're going to have to play two or three quarterbacks at Auburn this year to have some chance at winning ball games. But they're a team, Donna, that they have three good runners. Okay. Alston's another freshman, Hunter, and of course Tank Bigsby. So if they can get them on a roll, then you have that play action passing, which makes it easier for the quarterback because the defense is worried about that running game. So you get the linebackers to bite on the run, give you more room behind the linebackers with the receivers, the tight end. And Auburn had the kicking game was good. Carlson made the field goal. So they're playing Penn State this week. They played them tight up at Happy Valley and Penn State last year. Auburn's going to have a huge advantage with the crowd, but no turnovers. They can't have any turnovers this game. I don't think they can survive with 2 or 3 interceptions or fumbles, anything of that nature. But they've got an excellent chance because they can run the football, keep Penn State's offense on the sideline. So Auburn's still trying to get in rhythm with their passing, cut down on the penalties and turnovers, and get some consistency with the receivers and the tight ends and the running backs, everyone catching the football. And the offensive line is a veteran offensive line. Protect the quarterback.
How do you think the new coach is he developing a style that needs to be worked on, or do you think he's doing okay?
Well, the main thing, and he spoke about this after the game, all these things happen during the game. You have a penalty, you throw an interception, you miss a tackle, you fumble the ball, you drop a pass. But at the end of the day, Donna, what happened in the W column? Did you win? Everybody's playing to win. Okay.
That's what it boils
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Do you like to have perfection? Of course. Are you striving for perfection? Yes. But in the end, Donna, did you win the game? Did you make a play? Did you stop a team? Did you score a touchdown, kick a field goal, make a long run, catch a long pass to help your team get near the goal line? It's W's and L's. That's the most important stat. If it doesn't have to look pretty. We saw Alabama with a 1-point game. They won. Auburn was behind. San Jose State at halftime won the ball game, 8 points. So that's what matters, the W's and the L's. Now, it will catch up to you if you continually have the turnovers and the penalties. So that's why it was very good for Auburn to have these 2 particular games. I call them warm-up games. The opponent is not as strong. The athletes aren't as good. They play hard. These other teams play hard and can beat you, as we saw. I mean, Auburn didn't run away with the ball game, but it's good that they played San Jose State and Mercer. So now you're playing Penn State. They're pretty hot. They got a great running back who was the player of the year, Nick Singleton. He had 179 yards against Ohio University. He had 70-yard touchdown, 44-yard touchdown, and another 40-plus-yard run. So he can get loose on you and have a big night. The quarterback, Sean Clifford, been there for 6 years now. 6-year quarterback. He's pretty talented. Been consistent so far this year. He's been better than he has in the past. And they have some good receivers. Tight ends have a good crop of tight ends. And defensively, they'll challenge you on the line. So that's an area where Auburn, they can have to block some of their better players on the defensive line. But Auburn's got a good chance to win this game.
Awesome. Okay, this is a what if question. What if Bo Nix were still there? What would have happened this past game?
I don't know. I mean, Bo had his moments at Auburn. If you protect him, he sometimes he made the right decision, sometimes he made the wrong decision. He throws it in the crowd, and it's intercepted. So I don't know what would have happened, Donna, particularly because Bo had an up and down career at Auburn.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad of the newness of Auburn. I just feel like a newness coming out. Okay, what's going on with Tennessee?
Oh, big game for Tennessee. Went up to Pittsburgh. You know, Donna, they never had beaten Pittsburgh. 0-3 against Pittsburgh. They played the Johnny Majors Classic because Johnny Majors coached both teams. Donna, I'm going to tell you right now, those 3 receivers for Tennessee, Hyatt, McCoy, and Tillman. It's like a CPA firm. But they cash in with catching that football for Hendon Hooker, the quarterback. That's a good-looking group for Tennessee. I like those 3. Those might be the 3 best receivers on one team in the SEC. You're going to hear those names frequently. Hyatt, McCoy, and Tillman. Tennessee had 25 quarterback pressures done. That's the most in the last 10 years. And that's really important because last year Tennessee had trouble affecting the quarterback, putting pressure on the quarterback. We all know that's one of the keys to victory. You must affect the other team's quarterback. So like I said before, I'm really high on Tennessee. They're going to be competitive with Kentucky and against Georgia. That game, I'm trying to see if I have on the schedule here, when that Tennessee and Georgia game and where it's being played. That game will be in Athens. That's in November. But anyway, Tennessee has a chance to really challenge in the SEC Eastern Division. I like them very much to go on the road, and they scored the 30-plus points. Some people from Tennessee, I guess, weren't happy with the offense, but Done. In this day and age, you score the 30 points, you can win. We can win a lot of ball games. So
Hmm.
Tennessee, the coach was thrilled to win that game on the road against Pittsburgh. Won the ACC last year. Don, they
That
were the
was
league
quite a
champion.
win for him. That's
Oh
a
no,
good
that was a
win.
big win. Ranked
Hmm.
team, Pittsburgh. Keaton Slovis, the transfer from USC, he
Hmm.
played with Brew McCoy at USC. They were teammates, but he got hurt. I think around the second quarter, but it was a great ball game. Went back and forth, and Tennessee held on for the victory.
Hmm. Yeah, I think they're going to do really good. And like I said, how are they going up the ranks right now?
Yeah, yeah. I don't have those in front of me, Donna, but there's a lot of teams. It's like 6 or 7 or 8 in the top 25 from the SEC.
Hmm.
Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Mississippi State has some votes as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, the league is. I think the league, of course, Texas A&M was in the top 10 down, but well, I just bring up that game. They lost to Appalachian State 17-14 and down. I do not understand Texas A&M. Appalachian State scored 60 points and gave up over 60 points against North Carolina the week
Hmm.
before. They scored 40 points in the fourth quarter. So
Hmm.
it wasn't like they were a surprise team, Appalachian State. And years ago, like 2007 or whatever it was, they beat Michigan in Ann Arbor. So this is the second time they've beaten a top 10 team, Appalachian State, from Boone, North Carolina. So they have a great coaching staff, and their quarterback was a transfer from Clemson. So he played against a lot of Power Five schools himself and played against all that talent at Clemson. But to lose that game where you have less than 200 yards, you score one offensive touchdown. The other touchdown, Donna, was a kickoff return. You
Hmm.
ran about 38 plays. Appalachian State had 82, I think it was. So they have some serious problems at Texas A&M on offense. Jimbo
That
Fisher,
had to hurt. That had to hurt.
oh, that I mean, Don, if I'm an A&M fan, I'm not feeling. I'm
I'm
not feeling
sick.
good. I'm not feeling good now. I'm not feeling good for the future
Hmm.
either, because you have all these resources. You have the best facility. You're paying your coach 75 million, like $9 or $10 million a year. You're getting 4 and 5 star recruits, and you cannot score touchdowns in a day and age where everyone's scoring touchdowns. So
Hmm.
if I'm an A&M fan, I'm not very happy, not only for this season, I'm not happy in the future with Jimbo at all. Not
Let's
at all.
talk. I'm not either.
I,
Let's talk two more teams. Let's talk Georgia and Clemson. What's going on in
yeah,
Georgia?
yeah, Georgia, they had a warm up game last week. They won by 30 points. They played Samford, from Alabama. They won 30 something to nothing, I think it was. So their next game, they're playing South Carolina. That game is going to be played in Columbia. Now, South Carolina lost 44-30 at Arkansas. Spencer Rattler's the quarterback, big upgrade for South Carolina at that position,
Hmm.
but I don't think they have the defense. South Carolina, Donnie, gave up 295 yards rushing. We all know Georgia can run the football. That's not a good sign for the Gamecocks. So I think Georgia will handle their business against South Carolina because they can run the football.
Hmm.
And then
Absolutely.
the other team, Clemson. Clemson, they won that game. I can't remember who they played down. I forgot who they played. But Clemson, it all depends on their quarterback situation
Hmm.
because he did not fare well last year. But you got to keep an eye on his progress. Uh, I can't remember who they played this week, but Clemson, they have the players on the defense. We'll see what they do with their skill players in at the quarterback position. But
Hmm.
but they have as much talent in the ACC as anybody. We'll see what Florida State does. They had that big victory over LSU in New Orleans. Florida State quarterback played well. They've had some good skill people, played solid defense. I don't know, maybe Florida State is a team that can challenge Clemson. I don't know.
Hmm. Could be. Our Cowboy church here in Alabama went to Kentucky. They have the flooding and everything going on. And so they reported, as a matter of fact, we're going to have the team leader on the show with us sometime this week and tell us what happened there in Kentucky. But he said, they're still strong on football over there, even with all the bad things that have happened.
Right, right. I'm high in Kentucky. They went down to Florida and beat the Gators by 10 points. I thought it'd be a close game. I didn't think it'd be double digits. They
Yeah.
shut down Anthony Richardson, the quarterback of Florida. He had a bad game. I think it was 4 yards rushing. He was, I think, 14 for 35 throwing the football. I'm not high on Anthony Richardson. He has a strong arm, but you need more than a strong arm to play the quarterback position. Kentucky with Will Levis, their quarterback, had another 200-yard game. Cavassier Smoke from Alabama had about 80 yards rushing for Kentucky. They had a freshman, Dane Key, caught a 50-yard touchdown. Will Levis threw about 60 yards in the air. That was significant. They had a couple interceptions, one for a pick six, 65-yard return. That helped them put points on the board. The defensive end, linebacker, he intercepted a pass close to the goal. They had points from that turnover. So Kentucky, good, solid football team. Like I said, Kentucky and Tennessee, they can challenge Georgia. They can challenge Georgia. Either one of them, I think. If they just stay consistent, don't forget that every week they have to show up and play hard, and no penalties, no turnovers. They're two good teams, Kentucky and Tennessee.
Okay, let's do AP's top five. Who are your top five?
Top five. I'd say I'm going to put Georgia ahead of Alabama right now. I'll put Alabama second. I say Ohio State third. I'm liking that USC team from California. I'm liking that team. And at number five, I'm gonna go with Oklahoma at the one with Clemson on the outside looking in.
So you're not gonna put Kentucky in there?
No, but Kentucky is in the top 10 now, top 10, top 9, or whatever. Yeah, so they're fine. So yeah, Kentucky, I'm looking for them to, like I said, be consistent. They have enough talent, but they can't have a subpar game.
Yeah, we always see them move up and down the charts. Always. 2 minutes left in this. Let's go ahead and talk about the other show and what's happening there. I know that you guys are doing really well with that too, AP and Kelly.
Yeah, AP and Kelly, as we see it, that with a capital S, capital E, capital C, we emphasize the Southeastern Conference. We do keep our eyes on the national teams because we know that they will be competing against the SEC teams in the playoffs and the bowl game. So, yeah, it's on your station every Friday at 4 p.m. They can watch it and listen to it, and we really appreciate you having us on your station. Absolutely. I see radio, and look forward. Be checking our social media because I put it up there so people can easily listen to it on your channel. And I'm not sure. I'm debating on the guest this week that we're going to have done. I'm thinking there's a possibility I might have a quarterback guru on. He coaches one of the quarterbacks in the SEC and the Miami quarterback actually. It's going to be playing at Texas A&M. So I think that might be an interesting guest.
That would be a very interesting guest.
Yeah, because we know the quarterback position is so important.
Make it or break it.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. It's a make it or break it position for the coaches and their team.
Okay, so, AP, less than a minute, about 45 seconds left. Now, folks can also find you. You're on Facebook as well.
Yes. On Facebook and my Twitter account and Instagram, they could find me. It's not too hard. And check us out. We have our show, AP and Kelly, as we see it. And then, Donna, I'll just say the big games this week, LSU and Mississippi State get together, Georgia, South Carolina, Miami travels to College Station, and the Nittany Lions from Penn State travel to Auburn. Those are the four big games in the Southeastern Conference.
Well, we're all going to be glued into it, I promise you. AP, thank you so much for being on the show again today.
Hey, thank you, Donna. My pleasure.
It's always our pleasure. Absolutely. Folks, stay tuned. We're going to have another awesome guest coming up in just a few minutes, so you'll hang in there. Thank you, AP.